The Lorax wanted to destroy all of the trees. This magical creature, this funny little tree speaker from a nature animation, wanted destruction the whole time. Everything was planned, and I can prove it in 15 minutes. This may sound nuts, this may sound crazy on paper, but it's real. It all goes back to Ted Wiggins' secret father, Grammy Norma's secret husband, and the backstory of Mr. O'Hare. By the end of this video, I will have you convinced that the Lorax was anti-trees. And I want to start with a question. If everything really was destroyed in the flashbacks, then how are there still bugs and snails? Also, how does Mr. O'Hare get the air he's selling? How does the Once-Ler get his food? And finally, when asked to use his superpowers to save the day, the Lorax said, "That's not how it works." So how does it work then? Ladies and gentlemen, Ted is O'Hare's son. Hello, I'm the Theorizer, and I trust you've seen the Lorax if you're watching this video. Maybe it's been a while. It's a Dr. Seuss movie about a boy living in a world with no nature, just plastic and pollution, and he goes off to find out what happened to the trees. He learns about it from the old man who was responsible. In the flashbacks, a magical creature tries stopping the man from cutting down all the trees, but the world is ruined anyways, and now everyone that's left is stuck back in that polluted fake little dream town, governed by a man who sells oxygen to breathe. So it might shock you that I have the nerve to accuse the savior, this little tree-hugging furry critter, of being the reason this all went to crap. Let's take a journey back in time, about 8 years, to an old video I made in 2016 and have since touched up. Back when I was young and full of life, I only had one question. Ted looks like the Once-Ler. So is he his grandson? This might surprise you, this might be obvious to you, and the answer was, probably. The Once-Ler acts as a grandfather figure in Ted's life. Ted's grandma is the one who knew where to find him. Ted undid what his ancestor caused. The genetics match up, the timeline matches up, the details match up, the statements match up, and dear God, is it possible that Ted's mom is framed on his wall? Yes. I'll link it later if you're still curious, but right now, I'll give you a little taste, because I have finally concluded that Grammy Norma was the Thneed girl. Let's just speed through to get to the good stuff. You see, I was never able to find her in the past back then, but I kind of assumed it was her, and now I do know. And, well, I just want a full family tree to start us off with. Height decreases as we expect, but the good stuff is the similar facial structure, the fitting fact that she who promoted the Thneed married its maker, the development from shy to snazzy with attention, the shared coy giggle, but wait, you might say the hair. Here's where today's theory makes liftoff, because Norma and her daughter Bernice both have naturally straight hair. This is important for the family tree. Ted has straight hair, which is very unlikely given the intense curls of both his ancestors, unless they're faking it, which they are. Why? Disco. They constantly promote their love of disco throughout the movie, whether it be on their fake tree or the hanging toy in Bernice's car. This is intentional. Thus, Ted's hair makes sense. The straight hair is a dominant gene, and the dark hair of the Once-Ler crushes the blonde, thus creating Bernice.
No, really, I forgot my teeth.
But the question, of course, is who is Ted's father, and how does this reveal unlock the movie's conspiracy? I repeat, it's Mr. O'Hare. Aloysius O'Hare, savvy businessman, short king, mischievous legend. Nah, perhaps Ted's father just died. Well, here's the rub, homie. No, the dead are to be mourned. The breakups are forgotten. We know this from the way this house presents its secret relationship with the Once-Ler. The fathers are nowhere to be seen or heard of. This is strange because Ted is only 10 years old, meaning the breakup would have happened when Ted was very, very young. The town is also new, as we've established in the past, and thus the probability is that Ted's father is somewhere in this town. We've also seen time and again that nobody is random in this family, so it's not just going to be an extra, it will be somebody poetic. At first I was leaning into Cyrus, the delivery man, but it just doesn't fit. Unlike the one, the only, the other industrial tree killer, Aloysius O'Hare. Okay, how? How could that even be possible? The film sets up that Ted and Bernice barely know O'Hare beyond him being rich and famous and probably the mayor. Well, that's just how it appears at first glance. You see, O'Hare seems to know them as well as they know him. This could make sense. I mean, he spies on everybody. He talks about it. But examine the real details of his interactions with them, and something strange is happening. If O'Hare is the father, does Ted even know? It doesn't seem like he does, or at least he doesn't take it very seriously. But Bernice, she snaps at O'Hare pretty quickly for someone who's otherwise been starstruck. O'Hare is a zealous businessman with giant henchmen, but she only flips out at him when he openly steps over boundaries with Ted. She's scared of O'Hare, but when he tries hunting for the seat in their house, she screams,
"I don't care who you are, you little crazy baby man! Get out of my house, now!"
He looks so completely caught off guard and actively steps back and leaves her house. She doesn't care who he is, but who is he to her? Is he just some famous, powerful guy who she's losing respect for, or does he have more influence here? Obviously, we need much more than just her change of tone, so I went scanning. Suspicious moment 1. Ted returns home with the seed to find O'Hare and Bernice chatting in the living room. They've been chatting for a while about something, and Ted is caught off guard. She leaves to let them discuss things, and as she goes, she says,
"Isn't he clever, Mr. O'Hare? He knows his own name and everything."
She's proud of him in the face of fame, but more notably of her ability to parent him. Because what does she say mere seconds later?
Teddy and I'll stay here and talk.
Sure, why don't you go ahead and adopt him? I'm just kidding. That was a joke, and I just was joking.
Really, this little snorting, giggling disco bitch just unleashed the beast that is my theory. Yes, it's a joke. We know, Bernice. It's an exaggeration. This moment stands out because of the extent to which she backpedals on the joke, because she was discussing the one thing that would be in line with my theory: shared parental rights. Okay, but maybe it's nothing. Suspicious moment 2, when she heads upstairs to confront O'Hare for his aggression. It's not exactly his aggression that causes her to flip out. I lied. It's actually this statement.
This doesn't involve you! Get back downstairs.
Damn, that gives off personal vibes. I am curious what fear she's really been feeling, though, if not being starstruck. Still, maybe it's nothing. You know what isn't nothing, though? Suspicious moment 3, the condescending fatherly manner in which he scolds Ted throughout the entirety of the movie. Again, I'm not sure if Ted knows, but O'Hare nonstop refers to him as if he knows him closely, referring to him as Teddy Boy, and he has an unbridled rage before Ted has even really done anything. He spies on them, but we see with Bernice that this bizarre camaraderie goes both ways. The grandma calls him Shorty. He says she just finished a turn. It's all personal. And the mom also dissuades Ted from finding trees. Something happened here, and they're keeping silent. It's why they were talking for some time before Ted entered, and it's why she's apprehensive. Let's be clear. Absolutely everything pans out as far as technicalities go too. Just like my other Lorax theories, the eyes, hair, handedness, all of Ted's genes fit O'Hare and not many others. Ted could very well still grow to be short like Aloysius as well. The ages align perfectly from the timeline we've established as well, but you want a real Bernice bombshell? She has a very peculiar detail when it comes to her name. She refers to herself as Mrs. Wiggins. Wiggins is her maiden name, but Mrs. is the prefix used only when a woman is married, not unmarried, not divorced, currently married. This strange combination implies that she is married, but refuses to reveal the truth about who her real spouse is. This aligns perfectly. So what happened between them, and how does it reveal everything else? Here's the way the story appears so far. The Once-Ler is slowly but surely losing his business. All of the trees have died, and he's left with nothing, abandoned and alone. His wife and daughter have left him, And as we see, all he has is his plans for Thneedville, his industrial utopia. It is at this time that a young Aloysius O'Hare approaches him with an idea: commercializing air. The Once-Ler has learned his lesson about nature, albeit the hard way, but everyone hates him now. O'Hare is the perfect stand-in for saving what's left of the population and giving them air. The Once-Ler grants O'Hare one of his seeds to make air and grants him the town itself, assigning him as dictator, and in the process, the up-and-coming Aloysius has the Once-Ler's blessing to marry Bernice, as long as he keeps providing updates to him. This is how the Once-Ler has Bernice's photo on his wall, and this is why O'Hare is spying on their family non-stop. However, as the town finishes incorporating, O'Hare begins to get cocky with his position. He has everything he's ever wanted and a son on the way, but he hasn't learned the lesson. He hasn't learned what the Lorax tried teaching. He even functions like the anti-Lorax, short and industrial. This is when Bernice realizes the terrible truth. O'Hare doesn't actually love her and is simply using her to control the city that her father created. They break up hard, and O'Hare doubles down again and again, while Norma and Bernice seal the truth. For if either they or O'Hare let out the truth regarding their shared histories with the Once-Ler, that man that nobody talks about, pretends like doesn't exist, the town would turn on him. Ted grows up completely oblivious to the reality of his father, but learns not to question it, and perhaps has even figured it out himself. Don't believe me? Well, has it ever occurred to you that these silent giant henchmen are identical twins, much alike the Once-Ler's brother? Hey, I'm not making any claims here, but things can fit far cleaner than you can possibly imagine, and both sets share name patterns. It could be, it could not be. But this all brings us to the biggest purpose of today's video. You might be asking, the hell? That wasn't it? Why no, the purpose is far greater. So for 8 years we've been asking, now we know Ted's parentage and the story within. Believe it, don't believe it, a massive chunk of it is sensible, and it fits all the gaps. People have commented similar things, people have posted similar things, it's not insane. But we're forgetting the most crucial, the most relevant, Phase 3, the Lorax. I want to usher back to the poetic side of things, the message. The Lorax said that's not how it works, in response to why he doesn't use his powers to stop the Once-Ler from destroying nature, meaning he knew what needed to happen, and so did the Once-Ler. The Lorax knew, as far as I'm concerned, that people would never learn by being told over and over again, or being forced to stop hurting trees. He needed to let them figure it out for themselves. All that whining and complaining the Lorax did is nothing in comparison to the sheer regret and shame the Once-Ler felt after destroying an entire biome for a profit. The Lorax let it happen. That's the only way it works. Trees don't just die like this, they regrow. Even in the harshest of circumstances, life finds a way to evolve. That's the whole point. The Lorax let it happen. There are no seeds, in spite of them harvesting merely the tufts, no regrowth, none. The Lorax let it happen. The oil and pollution harms the environment, but it can't kill all life, as we see little pill bugs and butterflies, and what's this? A great-great-great-grandfather snail in the dead center of a plastic utopia? The Lorax let it happen. It's all to teach the lesson, so it doesn't happen again. The Lorax has the ability to regrow everything, but he doesn't. His job is to speak for the trees and teach humanity a lesson, no matter how many times he needs to. He leaves when the trees die. This is the whole point of the movie. That's not how it works. The Lorax let it happen, and what's more, he compelled it. It needed to happen, so the people could heal as much as the trees could. Everyone is a part of nature. And this brings me to my most shocking realization in ages. The Lorax, who spurs happenings from behind the scenes. I used to think he was Audrey, or maybe created Audrey, or maybe, ladies and gentlemen, The short, little Lorax is the businessman who tempted deforestation, is the businessman who tested humanity time and time again, is the businessman who watched over everyone from the skies and knew what needed to happen the second he saw the commercials, or in the very least, is responsible for him. This character who flies to the skies as his vicious farewell ass-kicking ensues, much like the Lorax. And wait, to create air, O'Hare would need his own little trees, but now that I think about it, the Once-Ler makes a point of having only one seed to give Ted. This means O'Hare must be tied to the Lorax in order to have a seed to make the air in the first place. O'Hare's journey, in one way or another, is the Lorax's doing. This film is about heritage, nature, and lessons to humanity. It's about growing prosperity for the next generation and undoing the sins of one's ancestors. Ted is the product of O'Hare, the Once-Ler, and the lessons of the Lorax, the teaching of humanity. O'Hare is an intentional byproduct of the Lorax's hard lessons. The message of this film, the true message, is literally and physically a family tree. Now all we need to know is who the Once-Ler's real father is, because all of the answers henceforth have come up in the form of Danny DeVito f***ing his enemy's offspring. I can't wait to see what I uproot next. Make sure to subscribe for more. This is very important to subscribe, like very important. I'm actually going to scream subscribe. Also join my Patreon. It's the one thing actually motivating me to make these videos, and it's saving my tumultuous life by being a fallback in the event that God forbid someone wishes to employ me in the real world. Could you imagine? Until next time, I'm the Theorizer. Unless, special thanks to Plasmite and Am I Emo.